The days after Vicky's disappearance were like a storm that had stolen the sun from Theo's world. Each morning, he would rise with a growing sense of dread, checking his phone compulsively, hoping to see a message from her. He looked for her everywhere, her parents' house, her closest friends' homes. But Vicky had vanished. It had been a week now, and Theo was beginning to panic. Meanwhile, Amina, seemingly unaffected by the chaos she had caused, walked around the house with a calm indifference. It was almost as if she was enjoying the turmoil. One evening, as Theo sat with his head in his hands, worried sick about Vicky's safety, Amina walked in, draping herself lazily across the sofa. "Can you transfer me some money?" she asked nonchalantly. "I found a commercial building I want to invest in." Theo stared at her, utterly dumbfounded. His voice was quiet but sharp. "Seriously, Amina? My wife has been missing for a week. I don't know if she's safe, alive, or dead. My son is crying for his mother. He can't eat or sleep. Everyone is worried sick. And you're asking me for money like nothing has happened?" Amina rolled her eyes. "You're too tense, Theo. Maybe if Vicky hadn't run off like that, things wouldn't be such a mess, you know." Theo's heart twisted painfully at her words. It hit him like a wrecking ball. Amina had changed. This was not the sweet, innocent girl he once fell in love with. All she did now was feed him poison, lies, and negative things about his parents and wife. She sowed seeds of doubt about his family. She had driven them all apart, and he had been too blind to see it. "Amina," Theo said, his voice thick with realization, "you've been a bad influence on me. This was never about love anymore, was it? It's always been about money, manipulation, and control." He stood up, the weight of his regret bearing down on him like lead. "Pack your things and get out, now." Amina's eyes narrowed as she stood, her lips curling into a sly smile. "You think you can just kick me out? I'm not going down without a fight, Theo. I'll find Vicky myself, and when I do, I'll tell her that Matthew, her beloved son, is actually mine. She'll never come back to you after that." Theo's heart sank. He knew Amina was capable of carrying out her threat. The thought of what that revelation could do to Vicky, to Matthew, made him sick. But there was no turning back now. Amina had to go. The next day, Theo reported Vicky's disappearance to the police. His house was in complete disarray without her. Work had become chaotic. He needed her advice on key projects, but she was gone. At home, Matthew barely ate and clung to his stuffed toy, asking repeatedly when Mama would come back. It was as if the glue that held their family together had dissolved, leaving everything crumbling around him. Amina, relentless in her pursuit of destruction, hired private investigators to track down Vicky. They eventually found her at her grandmother's farm, a remote, peaceful place far from the noise of the city. Amina arrived, her presence like a storm cloud against the tranquility of the countryside. Vicky stood by the fence when Amina approached, her expression wary but calm. "What do you want?" Vicky asked, her voice edged with quiet strength. "Haven't you done enough?" Amina didn't flinch. She crossed her arms, fixing Vicky with a piercing gaze. "I didn't come to apologize," she said bluntly. "I came to tell you more about Theo, about who he really is. Maybe then you can decide if you want to go back to him." And so, with a cold, calculated precision, Amina laid it all out. She told Vicky everything: the affair, her history with Theo, how she had gotten pregnant with Matthew, and how Theo had adopted him when she couldn't raise him herself. Each word was a knife twisting in Vicky's heart. By the time Amina finished, Vicky's face was wet with tears, her body trembling with the weight of the truth. "How could you do this to me?" Vicky choked out between sobs. "Matthew is my son. He's my world. You gave him away." Amina's expression softened, but only for a moment. "I lost everything too," she said, "but I lost it to anger and revenge. I wanted everyone to suffer the way I had suffered." Vicky couldn't listen anymore. She turned away, dismissing Amina with a wave of her hand. "Get out," she whispered. "Just leave me alone." That night, Vicky cried until there were no tears left. She had always tried to live a good life, never wishing ill on anyone. But now her world had been ripped apart by betrayal. Look out for part 4, the final episode. Follow, like, and share, for I am posting exciting stories like these every day.